Hello, my name is Visklugers and welcome to another quick tank review, and today we'll be reviewing the BMP-1, which is the last armored fighting vehicle on Tier 3. Now to start off, the BMP-1 has 875 hit points, so it's in between the armored fighting vehicles. It is the highest amount of hit points, actually quite by far. But the Scorpion, light tank Scorpion, has 1015, so it's not quite the light tank standards, but on armored fighting vehicles it is the most. To be exact, it has 55 hit points more than the AMX-10P and 115 hit points more than the XM800T. So it's not a lot, but it's something. Now the armor is also, in true armored fighting vehicle fashion, non-existent. It's pretty much none at all. 18 at the front, 7 in the side, and 5 at the rear. Which is like, how is this even holding its weight kinda levels? And the turret is like 23mm at the maximum, so yeah, no armor at all. Even high explosive should go through it. So yeah. No mobility then. 54 kilometers top speed, which is not great. It's not very great. Now, the acceleration though is phenomenally good. Only 2.15, which is very surprising, because this tank, like 54 kilometers per hour, is not extremely fast. It is the lowest of all these 4 vehicles. Now the average of all tier 3 vehicles is 68.6, so it is quite far behind, even outpaced by the Leopard 1 main battle tank. So, taking that into the aspect, 2.15 seconds of acceleration is very surprising. It is even faster than the XM800T, which is ridiculously fast to accelerate. But moving on to the vision, 467.5 meters is really nice. It's pretty much in the middle ground of the armored fighting vehicle's view ranges. But the camo is the worst of them all, being 0.3, which is not fantastic. The armored fighting vehicles tend to have good, so 0.3 is not particularly great, especially because you don't have any armor at all. So yeah, when you're facing another armored fighting vehicle, you will be spotted always first. Now moving on to the gun, and the gun is something that you could argue is a good or a bad thing, because it's like a regular tank gun, but it only shoots heat and high explosive. The heat damage is 313 on average per shot, and the penetration is 187. So yeah, it's, if you compare it to the Scorpion, I would take that gun any day, because the penetration is there. 187 is enough to go through reliably all tier 3 vehicles and most tier 4 vehicles. And 313 alpha damage is, well, it's a lot better than the average roll of the Scorpion's high explosive shells, and the shells move faster. But where it really takes the hit is its DPM, because it's only, well I say only, it's really good, but 3099 is drastically less than the other armored fighting vehicles, which have more than 4000 DPM, so it has at least 25% less DPM than the other armored fighting vehicles. But it comes with a gun that doesn't leave you exposed into the fire, because it doesn't have a clip. Now the rate of fire is 9.9 rounds per minute, which means roughly 6.06 seconds between each shot. Now the accuracy is surprisingly good, 0.13. It is pretty good. It's not fantastic or awesome, but it's pretty good. 2.8 seconds of reload, of aiming time. Well, it leaves something to be desired for, but it is really fast nonetheless. The turret rotation speed 37.65 is workable. It's okay. It's pretty good at the end, but yeah, if you really need to turn around like 180 degrees, it could be faster, but yeah, it's pretty much just nitpicking. It's most of the time good enough. Now, the one thing that really made this tank unbearably irritating for me was the gun depression. 3 degrees in the front and 2 at the back.
Identify.
So 3 degrees? Oh my god. You know, in a lot of cases, even on flat ground, you will have a trouble trying to aim at the enemy's hull. So most of the time you have to keep your eye on the map and try to position yourself that you're like looking down always, so that you can actually point your gun at the enemy. It's just not a playstyle for me. So, to summarize, the BMP-1. Let's start from the gun depression. The gun depression is just so bad. It's so incredibly bad that you have to try it for yourself to understand how bad it really is. Most tanks have a lot better gun depression on the backside of the tank than this tank has at its best.
Identify.
It is just, you have to keep constantly thinking about, like, well, in every tank you have to be thinking about, can I go through over this ridge, or can I peek there? No, in this tank you have to be like, even on flat ground, be thinking, right there is a small stone or rock, something just like a mere speed bump. I can't shoot over it. It's ludicrous. You can't just drive naturally in this tank. You have to be constantly like nitpicking everything, and it's just a chore. But is there any characteristic that would be like, well, as because you have got bad gun depression, what's good about this tank? I don't know. I haven't honestly found anything else being like exceptionally good or like unlike anything I have ever seen, except then the acceleration speed. And all armored fighting vehicles have so good acceleration speed that you don't need that good. You really don't need like 2.15, because you can have 2.25 or 2.85. It's just, yeah. The only thing where it's really handy is when you go forward and just point blank range, pull a shot and immediately reverse. That is really easy to do because you have so ridiculously good acceleration speed. But other than that, it's just, I would far rather use any other armored fighting vehicle than the BMP-1. It just feels weak. You can't take a single hit, you're not very stealthy, and you do not have abnormally good view range. If this tank would have like 500 meters of view range or just extremely good camo,
Enemy intel and
it
recon
would be
trucks
a
are in
really
the area.
great sniper that could just run away when the enemy starts to become closer. But even then, the gun depression is just something you have to try to work with, and it's hard, and it feels so punishing. All in all,
Penetrated.
I really hated this vehicle. And when I realized that the next vehicle after this one it was going to be the exact same fucking thing,
Good hit.
I just banged my head to a desk for a moment. And luckily, personally, my grind at the next vehicle is quite close to an end. But yeah, it's just not very good news. And if you find if you find yourself alone against a vehicle that has a ridiculously good armor or ridiculously good protection against heat shells or high explosive, you're fucked. There's pretty much nothing you can do except try to outmaneuver him. It's just oh no. You're good at picking up lightly armored targets, but the other armored fighting vehicles does that just so much better. So I really can't see why you would ever wanna play with this tank when you have researched the next vehicle. It's just not very good. It's not. I don't think it's a very appealing tank to anyone. The only thing I find just a little bit appealing is that I have seen these tanks in real life. But that's about the only thing that is a bit appealing. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me because I find it highly ironic that in my country's army there are Soviet tanks still in use. And yeah, maybe it's just me. Or maybe it's just a Finnish thing, I don't know. But all in all, I hated it, didn't like it. I still have it in my garage just because, you know, Armored Warfare has free tank slots, so it's there. It's not worth anything, but it's there. Oh my.
Target down.
We'll have to see where this tree develops, but I'm quite positive that the tier 5 and onward tanks are pretty awesome. But until then, I have been Risk Lurkers. I hope you have enjoyed this replay. Thank you so much for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next video.
Target hit. Ammo up. Identified. Hostile tank. Penetrated. Target down. Identify target. Good hit. Hostile tank. Woo! Enemy destroyed. Identify. Hostile PC. Nailed him. Enemy destroyed. Enemy destroyed. Good hit. Target hit. Target down. Enemy destroyed. Target destroyed. I'll send a team to salvage the hardware and see if we can use it to find out more about the NPAA. Identify. Hostile tank. Penetrated. Target eliminated. Enemy destroyed. No pet. Up! Identify target. Hostile tank. Penetrated. Identify target. Hostile. Direct hit. Penetrated. Enemy destroyed.